Hello, I'm Alex Hare, and I welcome you to Australian Archives, a program of musical items featuring Australian artists of note and taken from the archives. And let's begin this edition of Australian Archives with Splinter Reeves and his Splintet from a 1952 Melbourne Town Hall concert, A Shanty in Old Shanty Town.
We had a dream last night, 'twas such a funny dream. We dreamt about two men we know, and it was just a scream. Now one was Mr. Lang, and I near fell out of bed. The other one was Colonel Campbell, this is what he said. Hello, is that Colonel Campbell?
Yes, who's that?
Oh, this is Mr. Lang. Oh, Colonel Campbell,
Yes, Mr. Lang.
why don't you scramble your precious gang? They have been a source of worry since we opened up the bridge, and the way they cut that ribbon was a downright sacrilege.
But, Mr. Lang, you were astute. You prosecuted my friend the Groot. Then for doing what he did, why, the court fined him £5.
Did that please you, Colonel Campbell?
It was worth it, Mr. Lang. Well, good morning, Mr. Lang.
Good morning, Colonel Campbell.
Good morning, Judge. How are you?
Fine. 5 quid. Oh, Colonel Campbell,
Yes, Mr. Lang.
just see your actions don't boomerang. Now, there's a matter in the papers, but it seems that you've been lax. Though I wouldn't hurt your feelings, it concerns your income tax.
Now, Mr. Lang, why bring that up? A little quarrel, it's but a pup. And if remarks like that you pull, I'll remind you of your bull.
Do you mean that, Colonel Campbell?
Absolutely, Mr. Lang.
Well, how about a little drink, Colonel?
Well, I wouldn't mind a little spot with you. By the way, are you going to pay for it?
Oh, we'll have a couple of bob in on the fruit machine.
2 bob on the fruit machine. Well, jolly good luck, anyway.
Jolly good health,
Good
old
luck.
man.
By Jove. What's that? That has a kick in it.
That's the real Mackay. Oh, Colonel Campbell,
Yes, Mr. Lang.
the celebrations went with a bang. And though you sent off a petition, still I opened up the bridge. All your efforts couldn't stop me, for that was my privilege.
But Mr. Lang, you surely see. The world is laughing, but not at me. And that ribbon stunt you see will go down in history.
See you later, Colonel Campbell.
At the talkies, Mr. Lang.
Colonel Campbell and Mr. Lang, Quip and Quirk. And it was actually Jack Lumsdane and Len Maurice, a tune written by Jack O'Hagan to commemorate the, rather false opening of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in 1932 when Colonel Campbell cut that ribbon in front of the then Premier Jack Lang. That was recorded in Sydney on the 12th of April 1932, and we opened our program with Splinter Reeves and his Splintet, recorded in 1952 at the Melbourne Town Hall, a shanty in old shanty town. Your program Australian Archives continues now with the Melbourne performer Charles White, sadly no longer with us. Here's Charles at the piano with a group of distinguished Melbourne musicians, and he gives us Manhattan.
have been sung about heroes who flew across the sea. Their name will always be remembered in Empire history. But here's a song about someone who sailed across the foam, and he made fame for Australia's name, but he'll never come back home. Just a wonder horse, known on every course, from Australia to USA, where sad old chap that your long-lost lap has come and you've gone away. Though there may be other champions, your memory will always be new. For your last race is run, why everyone says farewell to you. You remember the days at Randwick when he cantered down the course? In the paddock flat and ledger, they cheered till they were hoarse. The bookies wouldn't bet you, but nobody cared a pin. If they couldn't get set, who wanted to bet? So long as old Farlap would win. They're off. He's running second, or maybe he's making the pace. It was all the same to Farlap. It wasn't even a race. And coming past the ledger, when Jimmy gave him his head, any old weight, it was shut the gate. He could carry a ton of lead. But now he's just a memory, but one we remember so. Now he's run his last race. Perhaps he's found a place where all the old champions go. For there may be other champions, your memory will always be new. For your last race is run, why everyone says farewell to you.
And that was Jack Lumsdane with Farlap, Farewell to You. He accompanied himself on the piano, and that was his own composition, recorded in Sydney, 13th of April 1932. Before that, Charles White at the piano with rhythm accompaniment on a World Records LP recorded in December 1958 here in Melbourne and Manhattan. We turn to Gus Mercy, his accordion and accompaniment, and a recording made in January 1953 now, and it's the very popular Little Brown Jug.
having heard Jimmy Parkinson and Bill Powell with the band, I think we'll leave it all to the band for this one. It's one of those marches they play so well, El Abenico.
Rare recordings there indeed, rare recordings indeed, because those tapes are very few that remain of the National Old Time Dance, with, of course, the late Jack Papworth. Jack died in December 2003 in Sydney. El Abenico was the track they played, and you'll remember the Old Time Dance, which used to be broadcast over national radio from the Albert Palais in Parramatta Road, Leichhardt in Sydney. And before that we heard Gus Mersey and his accordion and some accompaniment there, and a recording made in January 1953, Little Brown Jug. Now let's turn to Marjorie Stediford, Australian lass, who was recording quite prolifically in London. A lot of those recordings made with Carol Gibbons and his boyfriends. Here's one of them from 1935, it's Black Coffee.
Black coffee, I see double. Ooh, ooh, ooh. How am I gonna get home? Black coffee, I'm so dizzy. Black coffee, please get busy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Help me so I can get home. Had a little too much hoopy soup. All I meant to take was one. Now my head is going loopy-loop. Some stuffy kid, what fun, oh, black coffee, help a fella. Black coffee, what'll I tell her? Ooh, 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 I'm afraid to go home. Baby, baby, baby. Hey boy, say boy, I'll tell you why I ain't got joy. Say chum, I'm so glum, I'll just give you the line on my number. Put a nickel in the telephone and dial my baby's number. Got a busy line. Each time I tried, I got a busy tone, but not my baby's number, just a busy line. Called her uncle in Jamaica, left a message with the baker, even checked her number in the telephone book. Then I got so awfully worried, to my baby's house I hurried. When I looked inside, the phone was off the hook. And as I walked up to my baby, then I got my baby's number. She was busy in the parlor doing fine, busy kissing someone else, while I was keeping busy getting a busy line. So awfully worried, to my baby's house I hurried. When I looked inside, the phone was off the hook. And as I walked up to my baby, then I got my baby's number. She was busy in the parlor doing fine, busy kissing someone else, while I was keeping busy getting a busy line. Answer the phone, Myrtle, I'm tired of getting that busy line.
Edwin Duff with the Jack Brokenshire Quartet, recording on the Pacific 78 label, Sydney, August 1949, and a song we normally associate with Rose Murphy, Busy Line. And before that it was Marjorie Stediford with Carol Gibbons and the Boyfriends from July 1935, Black Coffee. And we conclude this program of Australian Archives with Smacker Fitzgibbon and Graham Kennedy, singing with Tom Davidson's Dixie Band, recording in Melbourne on the 30th of October 1957. It's the oldie and a good one, Shine On Harvest Moon.
Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June or July. Snow time, ain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal.
You know, Graham, we should be doing something here.
What do you suggest?
Oh, a soft shoe shuffle or something.
I can't do a soft shoe shuffle. The soft shoes have gone hard.
Well, you'd better try and do something without them.
Oh, well, I'll have a go.
Definitely big time, boy.
Night was mighty dark, so you could hardly see, for the moon refused to shine.
No satellites that night.
A couple sitting underneath a willow tree for love they pine.
It was a pine tree. The little maid was most afraid of darkness, so she said, I guess I'll go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Boy began to sigh.
And she went.
Looked up at the sky, told the moon his little tale of woe.
And this is what he said. He said, shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June or July. Snow time, ain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal. Oh, shine on.
Just a minute. We're finished.
We're finished?
Yes.
Well, there's no point in going on.
Oh, no.
Well, we better go off.
That's right.
Have you got your hat?
Yes.
And your cane?
And my cane.
Well, don't drop it. Let's have the chaser.
And that was Smacker and Graham. Shine on, Harvest Moon. Australian Archives was conceived, prepared and produced by Alex Hare for Golden Days Radio. Thanks for listening and bye for now.